Hey everybody, it's time to talk about the Wii. And yeah, my goal with this video is to recommend some Wii games. No first party titles though, maybe I will make a separate video about that. But yeah, I can honestly say that most of the first party titles, so games that are published or made by Nintendo, are worth checking out. Quite a few of them, there are over 40 or so. But yeah, we're gonna focus on third party titles that I would say like, hey, these are worth checking out. So do check out some gameplay footage and add them to your list. There are some expensive games in here, but most of them are, yeah, somewhat affordable. And yeah, why are they worth checking out? While I was making the list of games that I wanted to add to my Wii collection, I focused on like, hey, is this art style kind of like timeless? Is it like still nice to look at? Does it run properly, or how does it actually like implement the Wii remote? And also, is this a exclusive Wii game? So am I only able to play this game on the Wii? And do I have a feeling like it's never gonna get released on a different console? Got quite a few games here, maybe around like 30 or so. I did not even count them. So yeah, let's just get started. These are not in a particular order. So yeah, let's just get started. And with some of them, I will go into detail or some detail. But yeah, also with some of them, I will just show it, and that's that. So because there are a lot of games actually to talk about. The first one is a Speed Racer. This one is somewhat similar to F-Zero. It looks cool. It's a racing game, like an arcade racer, and it is also quite cheap. I think you should be able to get this one below like €5 or so. So that is not a bad price. The next one is Avatar, the game. This one is different, quite different when you compare it to like the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 version. Yeah, it is Avatar though, but also this one is not too expensive and worth checking out. We're gonna go fast with these. The next one, not sure if I'm able to recommend it. Sadly, I'm missing out on Red Steel 2. But yeah, Red Steel 1, I think it's just a fascinating game to actually check out. Because, you know, when we talk about the Wii, Red Steel is always the game that actually pops up in my mind. Because that is maybe one of the first games that we actually saw like photos of, like screenshots. And definitely the screenshots did not compare to the end result. But it is what it is. Red Steel 2 though is a bit more expensive, but yeah, I don't own that one, so add Red Steel 2 to the list. And if you're able to find this one for cheap, yeah, it's worth checking out. I'm gonna say Red Steel is maybe around like 5 or so, and Red Steel 2 should be around like 10. The next one is Need for Speed Nitro. Very easy to overlook this one. It's just a very fun yeah, arcade racer. So ignore the Need for Speed title. It's not like a simulator racing game. It's just a very fast-paced, like, yeah, arcade racer. And also definitely not expensive. Should be around like €2 or €3. So yeah, even if you get like an hour of gameplay and fun from that, like, it's worth checking out. The following titles, no, they are not in order anymore, but there are a couple of Final Fantasy games on the Wii, 3 of them in total. This is one of them. So that's Crystal Bearers. It's, yeah, it's different from like the usual Final Fantasy games, and this one is only available on the Wii. And it is a bit more on the expensive side, like around like 20 or so. But yeah, I just think it's a very fascinating game because it's Final Fantasy. It's different when, you know, to the usual like RPGs. This is more like a character action type of game. But yeah, worth checking out. And there are 2 other Final Fantasy games that I will show. The next one is Trauma Center, Second Opinion, not that expensive. I think the DS versions, like the Nintendo DS versions, are probably a bit more fun to play, but worth checking out. Like, hey, it's an Atlas title. Besides like Second Opinion, you do have like New Blood, also worth checking out. I just like the art style, and this is something that, hey, even though I think like the DS version, like the gameplay fits it a little bit more or better on the DS, this is still enjoyable. I like the art style, and yeah, it's somewhat timeless. The next one, ah man, I really enjoyed playing this game when it came out. It is second wiki, Quest for Barbaros Treasure. And yeah, it's, how would you describe it? It's an adventure, like puzzle game, like you need to solve puzzles in the environment, need to collect like items and use those in unique ways. Very cool Wiimote implementation. So yeah, second wiki. Also don't see this one come out like on different consoles at all. Worth checking out. This is definitely high on the list. The next one is a light gun game. I just like the light gun games and wanted to collect all the light gun games for the Wii. And yeah, it is Dino Strike. Do have a feeling this one is going up in price. It is also not like the cheapest light gun game on the Wii. But yeah, you're shooting dinosaurs. That's the pitch. Should be around like 15 or so. The next one, yeah, it's a weird one because you don't often see or don't hear like many people talk about it, and it's still a cheap title, around like 10 or so, and that is Dragon Quest Swords. It's not the usual like RPG. It's not a light gun game, but you do use the Wii-mote like to block and to slash the enemies. It's fun. It's fun-ish. The next one is a very cool light gun game, and that is Ghost Squad. Also not too expensive though. Should be around or between like 5 or 10 or so. Yeah, the next one, I actually don't know if it belongs on the list. Let me know if you do have experience with Soul Calibur Legends. Have not played this one yet, but I wanted to add this one to the collection. Because it's a departure from the usual like fighting games, like the Soul Calibur fighting games, and yeah, it's a interesting one to check out. Shouldn't be that expensive. I'm gonna say between like 10 or 15 or so, but probably more likely around like 10. But yeah, Soul Calibur Legends. The next one, yeah, I just really like the art style, and that is LEDs. Not sure how to describe this game, so check out some gameplay footage, but yeah, very unlikely that we will ever see like a remaster or a remake, and I like the art style, very colorful. The next one is Bully Scholarship Edition. Whenever people talk about Bully, I've talked about Bully a couple months ago because I picked up the 360 version. Besides the 360 version, people do recommend like to check out like the Wii version as well, just by how they implemented like the Wiimotes, like the controls. Apparently they did a very good job with Bully, the Scholarship Edition, and yeah, it's worth checking out. I don't think this one is worth checking out. It is Far Cry Vengeance. I think this one is just in the stack and in my collection because it was part of a lot. I have a feeling this one isn't that great. If you do have experience with that one and it is great, do let me know. Super Monkey Ball, Banana Blitz. Hey, I like Super Monkey Ball, and you know, being able to use like the Wiimote to control. It's just a fun title. With Monkey Ball, to me, it's always like, hey, a fun game to check out for like half an hour or so, and that's it. And also, this one is not too expensive. Should be around like €5. For the next one, there is a PlayStation 2 version, but it's just a very fascinating game to compare to the PlayStation 2 version because the art style is a little bit different, and the main character has a different design. It is Rygar, the Battle of Argus. Even the PlayStation 2 version doesn't have like the subtitle, but it's somewhat similar to a God of War type of game, but don't expect like the same depth as like God of War. The next one is Korinpa. It looks cool, it looks cute as hell, and yeah, it's somewhat comparable to maybe like a Marble Madness. You need to roll around like the marble around like the environment and use the wii-mote to, yeah, kind of like control the environment. The next two, they are in here, but these are more like a reminders if you're gonna go for a horror sub-collection on the Wii, because hey, strangely enough, there are quite a few horror games on the Wii, but I'm not gonna recommend these like highly because they are actually on the more expensive side. The first one is Ju-on the Grudge. This one is, I'm gonna say around like 25 or 30 euros, and I'm just gonna say it's fascinating. Maybe not too fun to play, but it's just very fascinating. And the other one, this one is even more expensive, and that is The Calling. Is around like 40 or 50 or so. So unless you're gonna go for a horror sub collection and you want to collect like all of them, don't buy these games because they are worth playing. For the next one, it is cheaper than the PlayStation 2 version, so if you want to check out like Obscure 2, like the Wii version is okay to check out, I think. Don't have like a ton of experience with Obscure 2. Again, I own it because it's because I wanted to get like all the horror titles on the Wii. The next one is a horror title that I do recommend. It's a light gun game. It is Resident Evil: The Umbrella Chronicles. Very cool. And yeah, there are a few Resident Evil games actually on the Wii. I'm still missing out on a couple of them. I will mention that after this one, because you do have Resident Evil: The Dark Side Chronicles as well. Also a light gun game. I think this is the better one when you compare to like the Umbrella Chronicles. There's another one for the Resident Evil, out of the Resident Evil games on the Wii in this stack. I think I'm missing 2 of them, but there's a specific reason why I don't own those. Hopefully I remember to talk about that in a minute. The next one is No More Heroes. This did get like a remaster or like a port on the PlayStation 3 and Switch, I think. But yeah, I think, you know, for the Wii version, I just really wanted to have this one again in my collection because I remember enjoying it like a ton when it came out. Just the style alone and how it implements like the Wii-mote, it's a cool game. I really liked No More Heroes back then. I think I never really checked out like No More Heroes 2 and 3. Like that one came out on the Switch, correct? The next one, really enjoyed this title. Sadly, never finished it, but yeah, I do want to get back to it at some point, and that is Little King's Story. Somewhat similar to Pikmin, but yeah, you do have to build like buildings, and you get like different kind of like units, like people that you can order to attack like enemies, or it's been a while since I played it, but my memory of it is that I just really enjoyed like the gameplay loop of Little King Story, and yeah, this one should be around like 15 or so. Kind of forgot like the price to mention the price for like the Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles and the Dark Side Chronicles. Those should be around like 15 or 20. The next one is very cheap to get, and it is somewhat of a light gun game. But you wouldn't expect it based on the title, but it is decent. It is Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. It's worth checking out. It is not comparable to like the usual Ghost Recon games or like the Ghost Recon games on the Xbox 360. Again, this is more like a light gun game. I've shown this game before because I picked it up last year sealed, but unsealed it on the video because this one is quirky. It's a very unique RPG, and it's Apuna. Yeah, with the following, I'm not gonna compare it to the game, but there are some similarities. When I think about like this game, I am reminded about like Earthbound. So no, it's not similar in quality of like Earthbound, but it has a similar vibe to it. Like when you see the enemy designs and just the music alone, it's a very trippy game, and yeah, it's very cool. It is a bit more on the expensive side though, around like 30 euros. The next one just reminded me of Cube4 and wanted to check it out. Also, I like the art style, and that is the Munchables. I think Cube4 is maybe more the unique game out of those two. It reminded me of Cube4. Someday I do want to play Cube4. Sadly, that's an expensive NTSC game for the GameCube. But yeah, the Munchables. Yeah, worth checking out. So yeah, I already showed like crystal barriers for the from the Final Fantasy games on the Wii, but you do have like Chocobo Dungeon. I'm gonna say this did get like a re-release on the Switch, or that was maybe like a different Chocobo game. But yeah, this is kind of like one of those mystery dungeon type of games, like a dungeon crawler, but you're playing with the Chocobo, and yeah, it's very cool. Cute game. Bit more on the expensive side. It should be around like 25-ish or so. And then we do have like Echoes of Time, Final Fantasy Echoes of Time. And this is a port of like the DS title. I really enjoyed the this era of like Final Fantasy with the Crystal Chronicles one on the GameCube. I always play that one alone. But I just really like the art style of Crystal Chronicles. It's a shame that they kind of forgot about that. I wish it was more successful, because I really like the vibe, like how, like the pacing, like slow pace, relaxing. It had a vibe. I like the Crystal Chronicles vibe. I really do. It's a bummer. It's actually a bummer. But yeah, for the Resident Evil games, the last one that I own from the Resident Evil games is Resident Evil 4, the Wii edition. Now I know that there's a remake out there now. I love the remake, but the remake is, yeah, similar to the original Resident Evil 4, but I'm gonna say that there's still quite a difference between the two, and this one is still worth playing, because yeah, I'm gonna say it's still worth playing. Man, Resident Evil 4 is such a cool game. Now, I played the GameCube version way more than the Wii version, but yeah, this one is very comparable, and it's quite cool to have that ability to aim with the wii-mote. Resident Evil 4, man, that's a good game. Now, this is a game that no one really talks about, and I'm gonna say this belongs in the horror subcollection. It is Escape from Bug Island. It is very campy. Feels like a Dreamcast game. If you play Dreamcast games, like horror games on the Dreamcast, you know what I mean. Yeah, to me, Escape from Bug Island, it's always such a weird thing that I, I would say this should be something like a cult classic. It's always fascinating that you never hear anyone talk about this game. It's very campy. Maybe I like it just a ton because it has that like Dreamcast vibe. Dreamcast vibe is weird. The next one is, yeah, this is a more expensive game, but yeah, worth showing if you're gonna go for that horror sub-collection. It is Silent Hill Shattered Memories. Really enjoyed my time playing the Wii version of Shattered Memories. I just like how they implemented the wii-mote, like using it as, to simulate like a phone. You get like certain messages on the phone, and or on a wii-mote. And yeah, you do use the wii-mote to shine light in the environment. Just liked it. It's a very cool Silent Hill game. And is this actually cheaper than the PlayStation 2 version? I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes. And hey, if you're gonna go for the horror sub collection, yeah, you need to pick that one up. Now, I actually forgot to mention the Resident Evil, the Resident Evil games that I'm still missing out, and those are the Resident Evil games that also got released on the GameCube. So the remake of the first one and Resident Evil 0. I think those two I'm missing out on. At some point I will pick them up, but I do have those on the GameCube, so yeah, don't have like a complete horror sub-collection for the Wii, but those, yes, sometimes see them for like between like 10 or 20 or so. It's the Resident Evil Archives, I think that's what it's called. But yeah, forgot to mention that. Now the next one, speaking of like Dreamcast vibes and campiness, House of the Dead 2 and 3. Very fun light gun game, worth checking out. Also part of like the light gun game sub-collection and the horror game sub-collection. They did announce a remake of House of the Dead 2. Not sure about the art style. I just really like the art style of House of the Dead 2. It has that arcade cabinet type of vibe. I think it kind of misses something. I think it was announced for like Switch and Xbox and PlayStation 5. Not sure like how you're gonna control those, like House of the Dead 2. Like I could not imagine playing those games with a controller. But having said that though, I did play House of the Dead 2 on the Dreamcast with a controller, and it was still fun. I just don't like the art style. I think I like the art style of this one more. Now the next one is also a horror title. It's Cursed Mountain, not too expensive. Should be around like 8 or so, €8. Yeah, it's a decent-ish horror game. Then the next game, yeah, it is part of the horror sub-collection. I think got a few more horror games, or at least one or two. This one is more expensive. There is a PlayStation 2 version as well, but there are some differences between those two, and it's Baroque. Not sure what the price is. It should be around like between like 60 or 80. Baroque has a weird vibe. Is it? Could you say it's a dungeon crawler? Probably. Check out the video. And the next one is a light gun game, Dead Space Extraction, part of the light gun sub-collection and the horror game sub-collection for the Wii. I like Dead Space a lot. Like 1 and 2, all-time favorites. Those are games that I could play like yearly. Never get sick of it. I also really enjoyed the remake as well. But yeah, Dead Space Extraction tells the story what happened before Dead Space 1, and it's worth checking out. It has a bit more depth than the usual light gun game. Worth checking out. If you do have a PlayStation 3 and like the Move controllers, it is also worth to check out like Dead Space 2 and to pick up like the limited edition, or it might be called the limited edition or the special edition, because that one actually has Dead Space Extraction 2 or Dead Space Extraction as well. And yeah, from a graphical standpoint, that is the better version. But yeah, this one is also good. But yeah, when I checked out like the PlayStation 3 version, like it's just higher res and it is a little bit smoother. But maybe it's a bit more of an hassle to actually play with the Move controller and such. But hey, we're checking out if you don't have a Wii, but have a PlayStation 3. And if you do have like a PlayStation 3, I think you're still able to get like the House of the Dead games as well. Because a while ago I still purchased like House of the Dead 4 on the PlayStation 3 from PSN or the PlayStation Store. So yeah, worth checking out as well. Hey, a secret PlayStation 3 recommendation. Then the next one, not too sure if I can recommend this, but yeah, this one is a Wii exclusive, and I think I just have a difficulty like recommending a Sonic game. But apparently this one is actually pretty fun to play. But yeah, Sonic and the Secret Rings. There's another one. This one is around like 10 or so, 5 or 10. what's the other one called? Like Black Knight. So if you want to go for the Sonic sub-collection on the Wii, you should check out that one as well. Someday I will maybe pick that one up because I don't own the Black Knight one. This one, Boom Blocks, yeah, I like the art style. A Steven Spielberg EA game. I'm not sure what his involvement was with this game, but it's just a very fun puzzle game. It is also not too expensive, should be around like 5 or so. Harvest Moon Magical Melody. There are 3 Harvest Moon games on the Wii, and this is the cheapest one, maybe not the best one of those 3. Not sure what the subtitle is of the other 2. But yeah, if you're a Harvest Moon fan, it's worth checking out the Harvest Moon games on the Wii. 3 more games left to go. This one is very cool. Dewey's Adventure. You do like control the environment, and that's how you actually control like the character throughout the environment and how you attack like enemies. I just like the art style, and yeah, chances are very slim that we will ever see like a re-release of this game. I just look at this box art, man. I like the cuteness of this game. Very cool. There's a good mix between like horror titles and cute titles on the Wii. Yeah, the next one. 2 more games left. It's worth checking out. I know people are maybe a bit of a bigger fan of this game, but yeah, Mad World. I like the art style. Don't like how it controls. It's very difficult to control, and I really struggled playing this game and actually fell off like within like an hour or so when I purchased it back then. Still kind of recommend it because maybe you have less of an issue with the controls, because yeah, the art style is very cool. Yeah, Mad World. I just wish you were able to play this game without like the Wii motion stuff. It would definitely improve the game so much more if you are able to use like just normal button inputs. A mixed recommendation. The final game, yeah, worth checking out. Not if you are if you dislike spiders, this is not a recommended title. It's Deadly Creatures, a very unique game. Worth checking out. Does this belong on the horror game list? I'm not too sure. Yeah, it's kind of creepy. You know, spiders and scorpions and snakes are creepy, so maybe a little bit. But yeah, interesting story, and also a very unique way of telling a story in that game. So worth checking out. So not sure like how many games were, you know, I just recommended, but quite a few, and there are a couple more of them, but I don't own those and don't have my list here. But yeah, these are, again, worth checking out. So my recommendation is make a list, check out some videos and see if it actually intrigues you to actually pick up and play. But yeah, those are some third-party titles that I do recommend, again, to check out. There are just so many Wii games and it's very difficult to find them all. I will probably make it like another video for all the first-party titles, just go over all of them and say, hey, which ones I do recommend and maybe not recommend. But there are just a couple, like just a few games that are, you know, from that collection that are maybe not worth checking out. But that's a different video. Hope you enjoyed this. Again, man, quite a few games in here that are quite interesting. Let me know if I missed any and that you think that I should actually check out for the Wii. Yeah, man, there are just a few games that I'm missing out on, like the Resident Evil, like the Archives, and I'm still debating what's the other game? Fragile Dreams, and maybe the Metal Slug Collection. That one seems interesting, but I don't see myself playing it just like the wii-mote. But yeah, let me know if you do have some recommendations, and hope you enjoyed this video. As always, thanks all for the likes and subscribes in the last couple of weeks. Highly appreciate it. And yeah, have a good day. See you all later.